With 3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Single Muslim Live.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Single Muslim Live here on British Muslim TV, sponsored by SingleMuslim.com. And I'm Fahima Mohammed, your host for tonight. I want to welcome all of you watching on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, or live on Sky Channel 752. It is so exciting to be here discussing relationships, and it's really important that you do participate. As much as we have, our guests to speak, you are more than welcome to join in the conversation, and you can do so by dialing in live direct to the studio on 01924 231-083. Or if you want to send a message anonymously, you're more than welcome to do so, free on our WhatsApp service on 07950-797-017. However, if you do call into the studio, do remember that standard network rates do apply. So please do ask the bill payer's permission before you do call. We have a really interesting topic tonight, and I'm really excited to hear my guest speak about this topic, which is, should I tell my partner if I have had cosmetic plastic surgery? Now, it's something that we think does not really apply today's day and age, but the aesthetics industry is growing rapidly with everyday people now using this kind of procedures. And we have my special guest for tonight, Dr. Ayah. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Alaikum salam. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I am very well. I'm really delighted to have you today, and it's a really exciting topic. And for you to give me your time and to share your thoughts and insights, I am really, really appreciative. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I think it's a really good topic that we're discussing, and I think it will kind of generate a lot of interest.
Yes. When it comes to relationships today, we normally always find that regardless of anything, as humans, we are drawn by the physical attraction. And a lot of the times, even if that is not important to most people, that is a natural way in which we are drawn to each other. And usually it's the physical, connection that we have, that we're drawn to each other in that particular way. Nowadays, with that, there is an increase with regards to the pressures of looking in a particular way, whether or not we use filters in our photographs, whether or not now we are actually taking the extra steps to, actually undergo certain procedures. I mean, the procedures are huge, which you are going to go into, obviously. It can range from something really not so evasive to really, really evasive, which is, complete, construction of your face, your body, whatever it may be. Now, before we answer some of the questions that we have, as well as for myself and the viewers tonight, could you briefly describe what is it that you do for your job today?
Yeah, so basically I work in non-surgical aesthetics. So as you mentioned, you've got the surgical aspect, which is a little bit more invasive, and I work non-surgically. So what we can do is we've got a variety of tools at hand to help basically, what I would say is just improve and refresh appearances. The non-surgical aspect means that there is very minimal downtime. People can kind of walk away on the day, kind of have their treatment done at lunch. And essentially what I would say is I just use these tools in a non-surgical way to help people feel better.
Okay, when it comes to that, I think it's really important that we understand that even though you're mentioning the non-surgical sort of approach, it does still have an impact on the way in which a person can, look. When you're talking about that, am I correct in saying we're talking about Botox and fillers, for example? Because there's very many different sort of like procedures that are there. And now that, before we used to hear about celebrities that are doing this. Now it's everyday people that are doing this, and it's becoming more and more affordable, even though it's expensive. There is so much to talk about, especially when it comes to relationships. Now, I know the question is, should you tell your potential partner? There's many different factors involved here with regards to if you're entering into a relationship fresh, would you actually do that? Or whether you're already in a relationship for a long time or a certain amount of time, do you share that kind of information? I don't think there's any right or wrong, but I think it's interesting to open up this topic. And whoever wants to share, please do call in as well. But from your experience and some of the case studies that you have, and especially in our community, do you find that people from our Muslim community are using these kinds of procedures and they're coming to you? And what is it that actually sort of like circulates around their relationships? Do they share it? Are they open? Or is it something that's still taboo and they don't really want to do that? What is, sort of your experience on this?
So I would say, I currently work full-time in aesthetics. I have a busy clinic both on Harley Street in London and in West Yorkshire. And I would say 80% of the people I treat are Muslims. Particularly kind of, I would say, in the age of between 25 to about 45, I would say. They're the kind of people that I treat. And of them, I would say 90% walk into my door and the first thing they say to me is, my partner doesn't know I'm here, or my parents don't know I'm here, or whoever it is that they say, they don't know I'm here. And I think it's because I predominantly treat a lot of first-time users, meaning that they've never had treatment before, but have now decided that they want to come for it. And I think there's a big misconception about fillers, about Botox, about kind of any toxin treatment. And therefore, I think they feel fear of talking to their partners about it, because I think everybody feels like when they walk out, they're going to look completely different. The kind of common theme is, my husband doesn't know I'm here. He thinks I'm going to look fake. He thinks I'm going to look frozen. My husband doesn't know I'm here. Will he know? And honestly, the amount of times I've heard that, I can't tell you. People come into my chair who, on average, when you're walking on the street, you wouldn't expect. Who you would classically call, an auntie. I can guarantee you maybe 60% of my patient base are what you typically would refer to as aunties.
Wow, that is really interesting facts over there. And, you're telling us firsthand that, people are coming in and they are still keeping it a secret, and it is their choice, obviously. But what do you think it makes, a sort of difference when you're entering into a relationship, regardless of your age, but obviously if there's youngsters out there that are doing these kinds of procedures from a young age, and as much as you say that, it's just an enhancement, which is slightly, obviously even afterwards, sometimes there could be maybe some bruising, maybe even it does show that this person looks the same over the last 20 years or whatever it may be, or they come back and, there's also like the factor of finance, if they can't afford it themselves or they're hiding that, how does that play into a relationship when you are doing something in secret, which is, quite obvious that, to a certain extent that, you have got, some sort of improvements to your face. At the end of the day, it's quite obvious to certain people that, you've actually had maybe, sort of like lip fillers or things like that, or your forehead doesn't move, or when you smile, there is absolutely no expression, things like that. I mean, how real is that? Because I don't really know. This is what we hear on TV. Is it something that is that obvious, or does it depend on the practitioner or the kind of procedure? What would you say with regards to that, so that, if they're wanting to hide this, is it really possible to even hide from your partner?
So I think that's where I'm really trying to break through, is through education. So my whole platform, everything that I do, my whole clinic is all based on education. That's one of my core values, because I think there is a massive amount of miseducation and misconceptions around medical aesthetics, okay? So my first thing I'll say to you is I actually encourage all my patients to tell their partners. Obviously, it is their choice, but the reason I say it is because I do believe that the majority of people, it's not about, if they understood what they would look like after, and the kind of diversity that this can bring in terms of what you can look like, I think they'd be a lot more open to it. So what I mean by that is, for example, each practitioner will work a bit differently. Each practitioner has their own experience and their own aesthetic eye, as we call it, okay? So my forte is very natural results. So people who come in and see me, they just come in for an enhancement. Of course, you can take it a lot further, and there are practitioners out there who completely transform faces, but that's why you need to do your due diligence and, you know, get the clinician that you're after that provides the kind of results that you do. So most people who come and see me are the ones who want enhancement but don't really want to look completely different. They just want to look a little bit better. Maybe take back the clock 5 years, or if you're a young person, maybe you've got an insecurity. I get a lot of people who are unhappy with the shape of their noses. Pretty much young females are looking to get married or are getting married, and they're kind of really unhappy with the shape of their nose. That seems to be a common theme. And I always say to them, my advice, I guess, as an elder kind of person would be to have these open discussions to help people understand that these things can really make a big difference to someone's mental health. Yes, I mean, it'd be very, very difficult to have treatment done and perhaps nobody noticed, but then that depends on the partner, because yes, potentially there are complications, bruising, swelling, redness, irritation, there's many, many different complications that can occur. And if your partner is somebody who's very aware, they may pick up on it, and that may lead to, difficulties within a relationship if they're not discussed. However, I always encourage all my patients to have these conversations. Perhaps, go to your partner and explain to them why you want a treatment. What is it that's making you feel insecure? And if anything, feeling better within yourself is only going to improve your relationship. And it's very important we have these open and honest discussions. So a lot of the people who I've treated, we try and do a staged approach. So what I try and do is somebody will come in, we will have this consultation, and then I ask them to bring their partner if they feel comfortable, so that we can all have a discussion. And I've had really positive results from that, because I've had really kind of positive experiences of people becoming really open-minded to how things can be treated, how things can be maintained naturally. The problem is within aesthetics is everything is very unregulated. Meaning that even you, Fahima, can literally go online and order fillers now, which means, yeah, and of course there's going to be so many, different things that you see that, and majority, you have to remember, I say to all my patients, okay, the most common thing that I get told is, am I going to look fake? Because on Instagram, everybody looks like XYZ. And my response to that is always, the people who want you to know they have fillers or Botox are happy for you to put them online, but they're the people who tend to not mind having a very obvious difference. Now, I've got hundreds of cases that I can show you of people who've had treatment done who are not happy for me to use it on social media, because they don't want people to know, but they want to keep it natural. So actually, the cases that you're seeing.
No, I hear you. And I'm going to ask you so much more about this, because you've given me so much information so far. But we are approaching a break very soon and very shortly. And hopefully it's going to give people time to digest what's been said, because, there are people out there that obviously don't know about this. But inshallah, we will be back after the break to discuss this further. Do stay tuned. And we look forward to hearing from you. Please do remember the numbers at the bottom of your screen, and we'll see you shortly. Assalamu alaikum.
With 3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Single Muslim Live. With 3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Single Muslim Live.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Single Muslim Live here on British Muslim TV, sponsored by SingleMuslim.com. We're having a very interesting conversation tonight with my guest, Dr. Ayah, regarding should I tell my partner if I've had cosmetic surgery? And so far, it's been really enlightening to hear that it really does depend on who you're going to go to and how important it is to actually, do your research. A lot of people may be against this, and that is absolutely fine. I mean, this is an a platform where you can share your thoughts, please do call if you want to. The numbers are at the bottom of your screen, or if you want to send in a message anonymously, again, there's a WhatsApp service there for free. Again, Dr. Ayah, you have really opened up my mind tonight. I didn't realize that, the unregulated sort of like ways of getting this. So when you see people, that is obvious with regards to all of these procedures, you can understand why. And again, when it comes to, you reassuring your clients that, if they were to speak with their partner so that they can actually be there of support, is actually better for them. And on the other hand, when you mentioned as well about, the reasons why people do this, just like how, you are a dentist as well. So that's originally your profession. And now a lot of dentists are taking on this as an extra sort of practitioner sort of way of, doing these things, which is also another interesting conversation to have. But the thing is, when it comes to relationships, and people's individual sort of like confidence and self-esteem, I think I want to focus on that a little bit more. Me being a coach, I think it's really important that we do understand that someone like yourself, who's a professional, you do actually take into consideration these kinds of, adjustments that you would make, and you would even assess your clients. Now, talk me through some of the things that, whether it's body dysmorphia or whatever it is that, some of the terminology that even I'm not aware of, that people that are listening tonight, if they are considering it, if they're in it, if they are even suffering from the fact that they cannot, stop, they're addicted to this. By the way, if some of the things that we are saying tonight is trigger warning, I do want to tell you that we do offer support here on British Muslim TV. If you do want to contact us, you are more than welcome to. If there's anything that you feel that, you need support with on BritishMuslim.tv/support. So we do understand that, with this comes also a mental health issue with regards to not, being confident within oneself. So what are the actual assessments that you undergo in analyzing a client that comes to you with, wanting these kinds of procedures so that, you are safeguarding, yourself and them?
Yeah, so when somebody first attends, you never really do treatment without a consultation. And through this consultation, we work out what their motivation is for treatment, but also just to kind of discuss around what their medical history is. And then we look for signs of body dysmorphia, like you said. And what that means is basically it's upon us as practitioners to flag any people who may be, there may be other underlying reasons to why they're having treatment to, and have a referral process that we can pass their details on to for further help. So what I mean by that is, so I have a lot of experience with eating disorders, with mental health. I used to work with patients with schizophrenia. And one of the things that I do is I always ask my patients, what is it, what motivates you to do this, and what are you trying to achieve at the end? And what this is, it allows us to have an open conversation about what their thoughts are. And I think it's really important that as a practitioner, you have the ability to say no. So it's a kind of a joke amongst my patients that actually I say no a lot, because it's about having that balance of what's going to make you feel better, what's going to improve harmonization, but also kind of ensure that we remain within the medical model, and we ensure that we're not coming up with any flags for things like eating disorders or, image perception, kind of body dysmorphia, all of these things that we look at. So, I have like a questionnaire that we go through. I have an anxiety scale that we go through. And more than anything, more than kind of written, it's about having that open conversation. And you find that soon people do start to trust you, and they'll explain to you what their concerns are and, why things are bothering them. And particularly within the Muslim community, I think there's a really big stress upon your appearance prior to marriage. And I know that's what you kind of was talking about there, where I've had girls come in and they've been in tears because they're so concerned about their appearance, which they weren't prior to, getting married. But now suddenly there's such scrutiny on the way that they look that they come into my room. And then a lot of it is about counseling them as opposed to actually doing any active treatment.
Wow, that's really, really refreshing to hear you say that. I mean, again, you've highlighted certain things which we don't normally talk about, and we want to be real here that there is a lot of pressure for marriage. But then with that, we do have, the aunties and, some of your cousins, saying, why aren't you married? And, a lot of them can be quite, upfront with regards to maybe you need to wear a bit of makeup, dress up in a particular way. And then if there is something that that person is uncomfortable with, it can actually, highlight, like you mentioned before, if they're not happy with their nose. Now it's quite easy to go into a surgery, regardless, even if it's now just for your, dental sort of practitioner. At the end of the day, you can actually have the aesthetics as well. I also want to again remind the viewers that, if you are triggered by anything that is spoken here tonight, we do offer a support system which you can contact here on British Muslim TV, and it's BritishMuslim.tv/support. So please do get in contact if you need to. I understand as well that, it is a taboo topic, doing something like this, now, sort of like this kind of like procedure is quite advanced, it's quite common, but in our communities, we're always like, restricting ourselves in a way to say that, we should be natural. It should be something which it shouldn't be, performed for whatever reason. But there are very many sects out there that do say there's nothing wrong in it. So it really does depend on who you follow. And you need to obviously seek that sort of advice from whoever it is that you are, following. So I understand the opinions out there, and it is something that, we're not here to promote. We're here to just give education and to give awareness, and also to do it safely if you do choose to. And again, as you mentioned, there's a lot of people that do suffer mentally with regards to the fact of, not having that confidence, just like how, they won't want to smile in an interview because their teeth's not straight. And, they go to the dentist for that. So people say, well, if my skin was a little bit better, because it's not just about even the procedures that you do, it's about also looking after your skin more importantly, as well as, maybe enhancing, with a bit of Botox or fillers, however that may be. I don't understand how that works. But the thing is, that is something that people may turn towards. Now, again, there may be not as much freedom in our Muslim community when it comes to relationships to say that it's my body, I want to do what I want. Now, do you not hear that a lot? Because even if it comes to your husband not approving, your father, your mother, whatever it may be, is that something that's also an issue, and that's the reason why it is kept secret?
Yeah, I do think that's partly why, because I think, like I said, there isn't that freedom there to do that. But then I think that's where we should come in. We should promote the openness of discussion and education, because again, I think this all stems from lack of education. At the end of the day, for example, let's just say something bothers you, like your nose, and nobody will let you treat that insecurity, but now that insecurity can play on your mental health, which can then have a really big detriment to your relationship. So perhaps if you spoke to your partner, your significant other or whatever, and you explained to them that, this really gets me down, and actually if I was to have some sort of procedure that was done to improve it, our relationship will also improve. I think people, number one, fear having that conversation because they are not equipped with the tools of education. If they were speaking to their partner and they could say, well, this is how it's going to work. This is what happens. And, these are pictures, for example. This is a downtime. But people don't have that education. And I think that stems from the lack of regulations around the industry. Like you just said, Fahima, you didn't know that you could buy it. So most people don't know that. So most people don't realize that the people they are going to for treatments may not have that medical model in play. It may be that they are just literally putting filler in wherever they feel like. They're not making them assessments. They are not treating the person as a whole. They are just literally treating kind of whatever that concern is without looking at things holistically.
Absolutely. No, I'm really happy to have someone like yourself here who's professional, who is trained, and there is obviously a regulatory body that, you are actually under, so that, at the end of the day, people are safe if they ever come to you. And I do urge people to actually have that because, at the end of the day, we have to consider the mental health behind this. There is a reason why people feel this way. But on the other hand, today we have filters. We know that even celebrities, they use that a lot. But now, with certain things like Snap, we can make ourselves look a lot better. And do you think that's actually added to the fact that we want to go towards even this sort of like, picture perfect, cookie cutter sort of way of looking, and there's an image and there's a danger there? I'm going to continue this conversation obviously after the break, but I'll let you start it off because we are going to go to short breaks, soon. But what's your thought on that when it comes to filters and, not actually showing your true self, even in a photograph today?
I think that that's a really big danger at the moment. I think people are getting very, very unhappy with the way that they feel because of filters. I feel like there's expectations to look a certain way. I feel like people are trying to look a certain way rather than embrace their true selves. And I do feel like, I mean, what can we do? We can't take filters away, but I am massively opposed to the use of filters in general. Yes, kind of now and then, but not to kind of play on the insecurities that people already have. I have had girls come in and show me skin of other people and say, I want to look like that, but that's a filter. That is not reality. We cannot achieve filter level just with skincare or whatever it is that we're going to do. So I do think that it is genuinely a massive danger. And I think that people, I hope, will want to start feeling more comfortable without the use of them.
Yeah, that's true. The danger here is the youngsters out there that are competing to look in a particular way. And when they see other, people out there that are so-called perfect, at the end of the day, it's not that, because the reality, even after sort of filters and Botox, when you look at somebody's skin, it's not that sort of like clear. It never can be, as much as you try. Skin is skin, and it's small cells, and it has got sort of like, deforms in there. And, this is how we are. This is how we built, but we somehow are becoming like kind of cartoon or anime, sort of like animations, because it's heading towards that way. And this conversation is so important, especially for this generation today, and I hope that, whoever's listening, they can actually understand that the reason why we're bringing this out is only to just like, create more awareness, create that sort of like help out there if it is required as well. So, inshallah, we will be back, with the continuation of this episode. I just want to remind the viewers that you can participate, you can, message and call in and join in, most definitely. And we look forward to, hearing some of your thoughts as well, because it's really important that, we have your input in this. We will be back in a few moments, and inshallah, we will continue with our conversation here with Dr. Ayah. She's only here tonight, so make sure you do call in after the break if you can do. And we'll see you shortly. Take care and have a cup of tea, and see you in a moment. Assalamu alaikum.
With 3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Single Muslim Live. With 3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Single Muslim Live.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Single Muslim Live, here with myself, your SingleMuslim.com relationship and couples coach. And we're having a really interesting conversation tonight, which is really raising more even issues than I expected. We were talking about, obviously you started off with the cosmetic surgery, and then the mental health with regards to not having the confidence of looking the way you do, and the pressures of finding a partner and being of a certain standard in order to gain that relationship, even amongst the community. And now with all the filters and the youngsters that are actually wanting to look in a particular way, which is not even realistic. And as we have this break, even our doctor has shared like some of the case studies that she's had recently with regards to youngsters wanting to look like something which is unreal. And this is everyday issues. As much as you do this for yourself, Dr. Ayah, do you ever come under some sort of scrutiny as to the fact that you are actually there kind of promoting the fact that people can change their look and we should really be natural? What is your opinion on that personally?
I do, yes. And there are people who approach me and say, why do you promote these things? But I think I'm quite fortunate in that because of my philosophy, because of the fact that I talk about education, I'm not really promoting treatments per se. I'm promoting the education of the treatment. At the end of the day, we have an informed choice, okay? No one's here and no one's kind of got a gun to your head and saying, come on, let's go. It's all about understanding and giving you options, It's like, for example, you go to the dentist, you want to have a better smile, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, you only know that the only way to get a better smile is to have your teeth straightened. Now, actually, there's 10 other ways that we can do that. And it is our kind of professional duty to outline to you all the options. And that's what I feel about aesthetics. It's my professional duty to help you understand that if you are insecure about something, if you don't feel great about something, then there are options available. And this is what they are. There is X, Y, Z. And it is my duty to educate you. And then from there, you make that informed, kind of decision of what you want to do. So while I do come under scrutiny, I don't think I come under it a lot because, as I said, my whole philosophy is about education and empowerment. So it helps people understand the why. And it's not about just coming in and getting the treatment done. It's about understanding why you're having treatment done and what is being done and what the long-term solution or goal is.
No, I love what you said that right there. It's so true. It's about having the education for it. And you are a professional. And again, you're not promoting to do this. You're just, informing people, and they have the right to make that choice with the right information in place. And it's really important that, we do highlight that. And again, do you think it's more women that do it? Or do you feel that, it's kind of getting towards equal now where there's also men coming to have these kind of procedures done? What's it like in your sort of practice?
I think I'm still kind of female heavy. I would say I'm about 70-30, but I would definitely say within the last kind of year, I've had a lot more males contact me, particularly about skin, because I think people are realizing that skincare is for all. It is not just for women, and they want to feel comfortable. And I've actually had a lot of males contact me prior to their wedding. To have things like peels done, to have facials done, etc. And they're realizing that it's okay and it's completely acceptable to have that. And the discussions are taking place. I definitely say it's becoming equal. I wouldn't say it's just there yet, but I would definitely say it's becoming a lot more equal because, as I said, now we're educating people on all the different options. Previously, people would have thought, for example, for an underdeveloped jaw, the only thing they could do was to have surgery. And actually, there's a lot of downtime associated with that. There are a lot of risks associated with that. So just for, not even from a cosmetic point of view, from a kind of health and therapeutic point of view, there's non-surgical approaches that are there. So like I had a male come in who was having trouble with his teeth. And actually that was due to an underdeveloped jaw. And what we did was use fillers to help support the jaw, to help close his lips. That was purely done for a therapeutic benefit and for a health benefit. And I'm seeing a lot of these cases come through now.
That's really amazing. People don't realize, and they just have this perception regardless of what you're saying. Actually, while you're talking, we do actually have a caller online. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Wa alaikum assalam, Fahima. How are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you today? It's so nice to hear, people that are calling in today. What would you like to say?
So I'd like to comment about the actual thing that you guys are talking about. So, about the plastic surgery bit.
Yeah, go ahead. What would you like to say?
I'd like to give my opinion.
Absolutely.
So basically, I really think that with what you guys are discussing, I think in general, usually, personally me, I would say these kind of things to my partner that I'm with or husband, whoever. I would say kind of what surgeries I've had. I wouldn't, be shy about it or be embarrassed about it. But in the day and age that we're living right now, I think girls do hide a lot of things just because to make it more, I guess, spicy or to not show their defaults or anything like that. So
I understand.
That's something I kind of had to say about.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate it. I love the fact that you called in today. What was your name again?
My name is Cece, and actually you do know me. I'm one of your friends. But I just wanted to say that I'm supporting what you're doing. I love what you're doing. And to be honestly, I really want to say that from the bottom of my heart, you've really helped me for the past 5 years with everything. And I really do appreciate it. And I love your work. And it's really boosting. And it helps every kind of way imaginable. And so I'd really like to say thank you. And I really love your show.
Thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much. That's amazing to have. Thank you. I hope to hear from you again. I love what you've said. Thank you so much. Oh, wow. I didn't realize that I had, sort of like clientele that's calling. We do get a lot of people coming on to British Muslim TV and SingleMuslim.com with, needing assistance, and we are there for them. That's why that's my job. And, it's lovely to hear some people that give me this kind of feedback. I really do appreciate your call. And I love what you said. Yes. If you have a secure relationship, it is quite easy to share this kind of information, as we discussed before. But obviously in this day and age, there is a lot of judgment. But then with her, she did say that, obviously to keep it spicy and, to keep them also on their toes, to realize that, do they even notice? Sometimes the partners don't even really notice if they've even had a hair change or any sort of like, procedure is not even going to make a difference. So I totally appreciate that comment. Times have definitely changed. Absolutely. When it comes to men sort of like commenting even on women that have these procedures, some of them like, well, it's fake. But on the other hand, I've done a bit of research, there's about at least 24% of men that actually would want their wives or partners to actually have certain procedures done because, it actually, makes them feel more attracted to them. And so, this is an open conversation. And I just want to highlight that, we are here to discuss this because at the end of the day, there are so many different scenarios. And I would like you to share some of the scenarios that you get from the community that come to you so that we can actually speak about it today and maybe, sort of like address one of the problems and maybe, maybe give some solutions and practical sort of reasons behind it. So what are the kind of case studies that you come across? I know everything's private and confidential, so, we're not mentioning anyone in particular, but just the actual case studies.
I think I would say a lot of the case studies that I get are people who are going to get married and they're unhappy with their skin. I think that's a really big one. They come to me kind of frantic 6 months before their wedding. Everyone's telling me my makeup's not going to look right. My husband's going to be disgusted with my skin. How can I tell him? He's never seen me without makeup. I'm really worried that the day we get married, the day after, he's going to see me without my makeup on. I get a lot of them. And I think this is where I really encourage you to have them conversations because, especially when we're treating acne, for example, it's going to be a lifelong journey. And, I don't encourage anyone to start relationships or to be in long-term relationships where you're hiding something that you are really struggling with. We look to our partners for support, don't we? We look to our family members, to the people we marry or our significant others to be our support. And talking about acne here, I always encourage my patients who have acne to have these conversations because there's going to be times where they flare up with stress, for example. Now, if you're going through a bit of a turbulent time at home, your skin may play up, which then may impact your mental health. So it's important to have the conversations that perhaps you're having treatment for this, or, it might be that if your skin is flaring up, for example, and you're not taking care of yourself, if your partner knows that these are your struggles, they may encourage you to seek treatment.
Absolutely. No, that's very true. I mean, to encourage that kind of connection with each other is very important. As we are talking about relationships again, there are some, sort of research that I've done as well that kind of said, basically, there were some extreme cases where, in other countries that, someone had so much plastic surgery done. And then after marriage, they were sued because it was like taken under false pretenses. The fact that, they came across as, a person that was not real. From sort of a perspective that it wasn't, something that they were portraying as real. How do you see someone who's done plastic surgery and think of them as not being fake? Does it depend on the surgery, or how would you kind of like answer that? Because a lot of people are like, well, if you had a nose job and if we have kids and our kids have, a horrible nose because you haven't shared that with me, is that really a problem?
I think that's why it's important to have these conversations because no, it's not a problem, but it's important to be open and honest, So I can kind of play both sides there. I can be devil's advocate or talk on way. Firstly, I don't see things as fake because at the end of the day, it's the same as having your teeth straightened. For me, it's the same as having your hair dyed or going to the gym because you don't feel great in the way you look. For me, they're all the same things. They are just tools to make you feel better and more confident within yourselves. So it all falls under the same kind of umbrella for me. Saying that, like I said, let's play devil's advocate. You could say to somebody who is, I guess, very slim, very healthy, etc., who went to the gym 5 times a week, etc. But actually, genetically, they're a bit more prone to gain weight. So does that mean them genetics will pass down to their children? And that's a conversation that needs to be had. I think you can open the net quite wide here, and ultimately it just goes back to the same thing that I'm saying. It's about having an open conversation. While I appreciate people may feel nervous to say, you know, I've had X, Y, Z done, then it goes back to that education aspect of this is why I had it done, this is what I had done, etc. Because as I said, for me, in my personal opinion, it's an umbrella term. For me, aesthetic medicine is no different to going to the gym, no different to getting your teeth straightened. Whatever it is, it's all about the tools that are used to make you feel better.
I love that. No, it's really reassuring to hear you speak today. And you know what? I'm so enjoying this conversation, and we are going to go to another short break, you know, in a moment, but I do want to come back and continue. And if anybody else has anything to say, please do join us tonight. We only have Dr. Ayah for tonight, and it's an absolute pleasure. And I'm really enjoying it. There's so much going through my head right now, and I can't wait to come back and discuss even more. So please make sure that you do stay tuned, and inshallah, we will continue with this conversation after the break. I want to remind you that you can either WhatsApp for free any of your questions if you don't want to call in, but if you do call in, we are taking live calls. I hope to see you in a few moments, and take care. We'll see you shortly. Assalamu alaikum.
With 3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Single Muslim Live. With 3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Single Muslim Live.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Single Muslim Live here on British Muslim TV. Again, I am so delighted to be here today discussing a really interesting topic with my lovely guest, Dr. Ayah. We were talking before with regards to relationships and obviously informing your partner. Before we continue, I just want to say that we actually do have a caller waiting online. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Alaikum salam. How are you, Fahima?
I'm very well.
It's very nice to see you back on the channel this week, and also a warm welcome to your Dr. Ayah as well.
Thank
just want to quickly say it's an amazing topic you guys chose today, because I think in this day and age, it's, you know, people do hide a lot of things from their partners and, you know, friends and stuff like that, because they want to be sort of these kinds of people that, they've not done any surgery or any sort of, you know, to make themselves better. But then I think it's not right, because at the end, if your partner happens to see photos of you previously, then you're going to get caught out and it's going to cause issues. So I, like most of you other callers, I agree. And I think, well, you know, be upfront, and there's nothing wrong in it. Like, you know, you just want to, like Dr. Ayah said, you just want to take care of yourself. Mm-hmm. You want to look good, and that's for you and, you know, your partner. So I don't think there's anything wrong. But it's just an amazing topic, and I'm glad you guys actually, you know, covering this.
Thank you. I really appreciate you calling. I really appreciate your comment as well. It's really important that you do actually have this platform to share. And I'm really, really glad that you feel safe to actually share with us tonight. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks. Salam. Bye. Wow. I'm loving the conversation tonight. And it's actually, you know, we actually have another sister calling online. Assalamu alaikum.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. How are you?
Hello, alhamdulillah. I was just watching your program for the very first time. And first of all, I'd just like to compliment. I love your smiles. It's made a smile come on my face, both of your sisters. And I love the way you've dressed your hijabs. Absolutely beautiful. I kind of feel a bit lost, but you've kind of inspired me to phone you guys. I'm lost as in, I'm going through turbulence as in my child's been removed from me by social care.
I'm really sorry to hear
I
that.
was wondering if you guys can support me or advise me. I don't have any family support, but I feel very stripped, as you can say. I don't have any hijab on right now, which is kind of making me feel sad as well, because I love the way you sort of addressed your hair. It's beautiful, it's lovely, but I'm kind of lost. So if there's any sort of advice you could give me, or I don't know, a little wand or something.
Absolutely. No, I hear you, and I really appreciate your call. I think it's really brave that you're calling in live tonight, and I love the compliments, but more importantly, I love your voice. I think you sound absolutely beautiful, and there is support to be given. If you want to contact...
I've been crying, so it sounds more purer, sounds more echoish, more sweeter, because I've let everything out, inshallah.
No, it's absolutely great to talk, and that's what we hear. And professionally, I know for a fact that when you do talk, it's important. But there is a support system that we do have. If you want to be in touch, please do so on BritishMuslim.tv/support. And from there, you will be directed, and inshallah, we will address your issue, and we will definitely, give you whatever you require in the best form that we can. And thank you so much again for calling in and sharing. I know there's a lot of people out there that have so many issues. And this is why we have these kinds of shows, in order for you to sort of feel safe to call in. And I'm really, really happy that you have tonight. Thank you so much. Really brave of you, by the way.
Thank you. Take care.
Assalamu alaikum. Take care.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you very much. Oh, it's an amazing night tonight. And I just want to say again, thank you so much. And of course, there are people that are, watching and listening, and you may be triggered in different areas, by listening tonight. So please do reach out. We do have a support system. Again, I want to reiterate that you can contact us on BritishMuslim.tv/support. And, we're here to help you with your, any sort of, issues that you're going through right now. So as we were talking earlier before, I mean, it just goes to show, Dr. Ayah, that, people that are listening tonight is obviously bringing up lots of things for them. It's, even around this topic, and, us just appearing as Muslim women, looking, being the way we are, at the end of the day, it does actually make a huge difference, in a negative or even in a positive way, whichever way. But we want to help people. We want to give information. We want to give, lots and lots of advice. And in your case, you deal with these cases all the time. When it comes to our Muslim community, again, I want to go back to that point. What do you think that we need to sort of learn, and what would you like to educate our communities that are slightly in this sort of tunnel vision with regards to Muslim women, especially, wanting to maybe look in a particular way, and the pressures that are real, but we're not actually addressing it? What would you like to advise?
I think there just needs to be a lot more open conversations and a lot more avenues that are open for people. It's what I try and advise most of the people that I treat. At the end of the day, the reason things are so closed, the reason things are so narrow-minded is because people only have a certain view of anything. So whether that's treatment or whether that's, aesthetics or whatever it is, most of the time, tunnel vision comes from lack of education. When people are educated, their eyes, their minds broaden and they understand better. So in the community, I would like kind of further education, which is inshallah what I'm trying to do on my platform, on Instagram, etc. It's what I do. I try and share people, kind of your average person, people who you can relate to, the treatments that they've had, the brave people who allow me to share their photographs on Instagram so I can then educate others onto things that are open for them. There are kind of sisters out there that are struggling with the way they feel, with the way they look in relationships, or not in relationships, looking for somebody, but aren't able to find somebody because they feel so unhappy within themselves. And, if for example, you went to your parents or your family and you said, I'm not comfortable in my weight, then I'm sure many of them would say, okay, go for a walk, try and eat healthier, go to the gym. What I would like to see, inshallah, in the future is the same way. If somebody went to somebody, when their parents and said, oh, I'm not comfortable in my skin, then straight away they'd say, okay, well, why don't you go and, seek a clinician? Why don't you go and seek some treatment? This is available for you, rather than, number one, home remedies, which tend to exacerbate situations, or number two, just kind of brushing things under the table and saying, well, just leave it. You can deal with it, or this is what was given to you, etc. Where, I want it to be as open and as accessible as things like diet, as things like exercise, etc. Because at the end of the day, this is an avenue that's open to everybody, and it can actually change lives in a really, really great way.
Amazing. No, absolutely. I'm so happy to connect with you myself personally. And whoever does want sort of advice, I would really, really recommend you do search for Dr. Ayah. She's on Instagram, and, you can definitely, check out her work and, get the support that you need with regards to this, of course, for yourself or anybody else in your family. Do you not think, though, that there is a danger sometimes that, as much as you are careful, as much as you are trying to give information, that we are moving towards a society of perfection, and we're not growing old naturally, and we're not growing old gracefully? And I understand that, yes, I understand very well when it comes to mental health, that's my profession, that's my job. But to a certain extent, are we sometimes, there's a borderline of using that as an excuse to actually do something when we should really be, okay with our own skin, regardless? I mean, I know it is a fine line, but, how can we sort of maybe allow information to be, spread in this kind of like industry, but at the same time also say, like, listen, it's okay to have a little bit of even a bump on your nose. I certainly do, so at the end of the day, I'm not going to go out there and do anything about it. This is just me. This is who I am. But then, me putting and fixing my nose, is maybe it might give me confidence, but I know working with the mind that actually having to work with the mind first and then the rest later on. So there is that aspect as well. Where do you sit with that when it comes to, the danger of, looking for constant, perfection or so-called perfection? Because obviously beauty is relative, but when we're looking at the magazines, when we're looking at everyday people that are constantly changing themselves, there is a danger that, we cannot be natural anymore. What's your thoughts on that?
Fahima, I actually completely agree with you. I think what you're saying is completely correct. And I think that's where it's very difficult for people, for clients, for patients, because this industry is so unregulated, people are not driven to kind of seek more knowledge. They kind of use Instagram as a platform for knowledge, which it is to a certain extent, but actually you should look for practitioners that have the ability to manage you, as I said, holistically. So for my personal patients, I don't worry about things like that, because I know that when I do my consultation, I have these discussions thoroughly. And as I said to you earlier, I have no qualms with saying to somebody, no, that I wouldn't recommend that to you. And I've actually actively declined treatment before when I feel that it is not in the person's best interest for me to do so. And I think that it is difficult because people are seeking perfection, but then I feel it ultimately relies on the practitioner to have these conversations with their patients and say to them, perfection isn't attainable at the end of the day. I'm very, very open with my own skin. I share my own pictures on Instagram, where one day, only last week, I was having a really difficult week. I didn't wash my face the whole week without my makeup. Like, I washed it in the morning, but I was so open about that. And I said to them, look, my skin's now broken out because this is life, this is reality. This is how things are. So, as I said, personally, I'm really happy with the way I treat my patients and the model that I have, but I believe that generally it's a very, very difficult topic to tackle, because you're kind of climbing the hill here, because everybody is advocating filters, perfection, any social media, at the end of the day, that's what they're talking about. And you're kind of that little voice in the corner that's saying, actually, it's okay. Yes, I'm here to help you feel better about yourself, but I've never once said I'm here to make you perfect. I'm helping you feel better. That's it.
I love that. No, I love everything that you said. And, you are definitely, a really good advocate for your job and your profession. And I'm really happy that you are on the show today. We are coming to the end of the show, and honestly, it's gone by so quickly. And I loved all the callers that have called in. I love the questions. I love the comments. I love everything that you've said as well tonight, Dr. Ayah. It's been absolutely a pleasure. If there's anything that you want to leave with us tonight, we've got, just under a minute. Would you like to sort of, end the conversation with some final words for our viewers tonight, please?
I think the thing that I would say is, more than anything, please be safe. Research, and be safe. Don't take anything kind of really quickly. Don't make decisions at the spin of a hat, and just keep an open mind. Yeah, the things that are available out there may actually make a big difference to you, but you may have closed your mind to them. So keep an open mind, do your research, and be safe.
Thank you so much. That is really, really good advice. And I love that. Really good ending as well. Thank you so much, Dr. Ayah. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope to see you again soon. I want to thank all the viewers, all the callers, everyone that's tuned in as well from wherever you're streaming. I want to, wish you all an amazing evening. And I want to thank you from myself, as well as the British Muslim team here. And I want to say, inshallah, we'll see you soon on another episode. Have an amazing evening. Stay tuned for the next episode next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
With 3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Single Muslim Live.